Me and Jake running down the street with a handful of comic books, kicking ass and banging chicks and drinking booze
No, not
and
me.
smoking
Not
weed.
me. I'm married.
Yeah, well,
I'm married.
Jake.
Can't do that.
Yeah. Off panel, off topic with Jake and Tyler.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another fun-filled episode
Of
Off Panel, Off Topic. I'm Jake.
I'm Tyler.
Tyler. What are you, Mario?
The name's so nice they named me twice. Welcome to Off Panel, Off Topic. This week's episode is called...
Oh, we're not doing, what is this, like a Saturday morning cartoon?
I don't know.
Well, I was just saying...
You wanted to give a title
No,
to this.
I'm saying...
Oh, just for
us? For the feed. I wasn't talking about, we need to say the name.
Oh.
It's Off Panel, Off Topic in...
Episode 205. Oops, all DC.
Yeah, mostly going to be...
This week, Tyler and Jake find themselves at the mercy of Detective Comics, run by Julius Schwartz back in the 1980s.
Are you done?
I guess so.
All right, so we got a lot.
Why don't you turn your phone down
you...
one? I think that'll be perfect.
Oh, I'm Tyler.
It's still just a little too loud.
And the sounds are too loud.
Well, give us a Paul Giamatti and see how loud it is now.
Drop your credentials at the guard's desk and get the fuck out of here!
That's
you
high end.
Saying that to me.
I understand, but that's high end.
And
so
the people at home are just like,
shut the fuck up.
Yeah, well,
see, the sounds, these drops are...
You tuned in to hear us be absolutely douchebag free. What?
Wow.
Thanks. So what are we... We're talking about a lot of stuff this week.
We could be talking about a lot of things. We could be talking about...
You are the motherfucking Antichrist!
Because, you haven't watched the show, but spoilers... What? What do you want
spoilers?
from me? I'm trying to fix the volume on
I don't
these
know.
things.
I'm not mad at you.
You are the motherfucking Antichrist!
It would be Mephisto.
Oh. Did we just...
Spoiler.
Wow.
Well,
I'm fucking dick.
Yeah, I'm the Antichrist now.
Maybe that should be our spoiler alert from now on.
Yeah, well.
Are you ready for pain?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then I would say,
are you ready for suffering?
See,
because we have to talk. No, here's why. I'm
Hang
gonna segue.
Okay, well, wait. Before you do, there's Led Zeppelin. Just go.
You fucker. No, what were you gonna say? What were we gonna say?
There's two. We Are the Champions. Okay, and what's oh my God, the other song.
We Will Rock You.
Yeah, those are two different songs.
Yeah.
But every time you hear them on classic rock radio, they play them together.
You have to play.
No, you don't necessarily. I'm saying just because we play one doesn't mean we got to play the other right after it.
It's really
sloppy.
All right, well.
See,
it's
all
hard.
fucked up.
What do you want me to
loud.
do? I'm not going to sit there and edit this.
I'll just do this. It's fine. No, I don't care.
Yeah,
I just
you're
don't want
over
to
on
blow
that side of the board.
You just open up my...
You know what? The one thing you do...
Open up your heart.
Tonight that I'm going to need from you...
is to shut the hell up. Right?
Shut the fuck up.
Wow, it's like the fourth time we've used that.
Yeah, we're
Giamatti
getting drop
heavy.
heavy. We're dropping sounds.
Happy 4th of July, first of all.
I guess. I mean, do you really want to celebrate this shit?
I would like to celebrate what we're capable of
the
and
good
still
people in it.
still capable of.
That aren't horrible.
I don't. We should not be giving up.
No, we shouldn't. Look, I'll be very clear. I will always love my country, and the Mark Twain quote, respect my government when it earns it.
Mm-hmm.
So I will always love the people in my life and the people that I've met in this country. There are a lot of bad people, but that's everywhere. But yeah, happy 4th of July, happy Independence Day. It's really hard to, if I'm being quite honest, it's really hard to have any sort of pride in this country lately. So that's why I have to just be clear why I kind of poo-pooed that.
No. Well,
and I don't want to be preachy. I'm just saying it's hard for me to celebrate literally a thing called Independence Day when you keep seeing people's rights get taken away.
Well, also we're not really free. We're all beholden to corporations, whether we like it or not.
As we talk about the Disney Plus show Ironheart later in this episode. But first, because we got to stick to this, because we said we would. It's a long box. Pretty sure I went first last week. I should listen to check, but who cares? Tyler, do you want to go first?
Sure.
So
a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago, I was talking about Law and Order and how the 20 seasons or whatever, and I talked about Homicide Life on the Street, I'm sure, at some point. And the last time I had Law and Order, it was like season 13 to like 20 or something, and I didn't watch. So I started with when I got to that part of it again, because I just recently seen them, I was like, I'm done watching that. What's the new drama I can watch? And I'm like, oh, Homicide Life on the Street, the entire series is over on Peacock. And I started watching it, and like Robin Williams is like a guest star in Bruno Kirby. There's like tons and tons of guest stars on this show. Andre Braugher was one of the big stars. Yaphet Kotto. Ned Beatty was on the show the first 3 seasons. Richard Belzer. Just a who's who, right? Like a ton of people. Melissa Leo, who's I believe she's an Oscar-winning actress at this point in her career.
Sorry, my intrusive
Shut the fuck
thoughts.
up.
I was thinking of Ned Beatty as that like that teddy bear from Toy Story 3, but in Homicide Life on the Street. Like, I think that would be a really funny edit if somebody could do that. I couldn't. I don't know how to do that shit, but I'm just saying. That's a TikTok.
The show is based off of the book of the same name by David Simon, who eventually made The Wire. And so there's a lot of stuff that's going on in the show that is from the book, but mainly it was praised when it first came out as just one of the most realist cop shows out there, because it showed cops how sometimes cases don't get closed. They can't solve the case, right?
Can't solve every case.
It shows like how much a lot of it is like just running down leads and stuff, and just grunt work and just doing the actual making the phone calls, going and interviewing people, the minutia of the job that actually is what it fully takes to solve a crime,
getting
right?
Evidence and
But it's also dealing with like the people themselves as human beings and like what they go through in their general lives, working these types of jobs and having to go home to families and things like that. Point is that it's one of the best written and acted shows ever of all time. And if you get a chance, the entire series, I'm in season 4 right now, and there's 7 seasons, and then there was a movie, like a 2-hour movie that they had. So, but it's a really, really good show. I highly recommend it. Again, I think I talked about this because of the crossovers with Law and Order. Mm-hmm. I haven't gotten to those yet. I think the first one happens in season 4. But it's the way it's acted and everything that just really drives it home. Like the moments between actors when, like the lieutenant is trying, the detective is trying to insinuate that the lieutenant is being racist because the detective's white and the lieutenant's black. Mm-hmm. And the lieutenant kind of has a smile on his face because he's like, I know what you want to say, but you're not really going to say it. Mm-hmm. But they're great actors. They can act with their faces and their mannerisms as well as their words. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you can tell like there's a give and take and there's an interplay of words, but also like if you say the wrong thing, I'm going to knock your fucking ass out, Yeah. But there's also like a level of respect there. It's intense, and I highly recommend it if you're looking for like, I got done with this show or that show, and you're looking for another hour-long drama. It's 7 seasons, and Peacock, I don't believe, at least the tier I have, doesn't have ads. So I love watching stuff on Peacock because I don't have to worry about fucking ads, because ads fucking suck. Hey, here's another ad about insurance. Why do they have so much money? Oh, because they're fucking screwing the fuck out of us every fucking day. Gee, do you think the insurance companies like support what's going on in the government right now? You fucking better be right they do. There goes that sponsorship. Your turn.
I'll eat your ass.
We're going to have to after a little while, dude, if they keep taking our fucking...
I will chop them up.
Yeah, man. Listen, you think I won't?
If I put my mind to it, I'm
Mechanized organism designed only for killing.
Yeah, for me and my long box, it's gonna be.
What is your long box?
It's gonna be Red Dead Online.
So another video game.
Yeah, I've been. Well, it's between that and Shadow of Mordor because I've been playing a lot of that too. But
is that a Lord of the Rings game?
Yes. It's.
Do you know how I guess?
Non-canon Mordor.
Yeah, there's also.
It's actually called Middle Earth, Shadow of Mordor.
In the Lord of the Rings book, there's a place called Mordor, and I was thinking like, I'll bet you anything that sounds a lot like the Shadows of Mordor, like you were talking about. Mm-hmm. So I was guessing. I correctly inferred that the Mordor from the Lord of the Rings books was the Mordor that you were talking about, because there's so many of them.
I'm so proud of you. It was like we're not talking about that. We're talking about Red Dead Online. Oh, we're talking about. So my point.
Fuck, you're the one who brought it up.
I've been going between that, back and forth between that and Shadow of Mordor, because I kind of burnt out on playing Marvel Rivals. It's just not as fun for me anymore, and I just kind of.
It's too bad because there's about 1,000 comic books coming out about that.
Jesus. Anyway, so. I was kind of in a weird place where I wasn't like into games for a little bit. I just kind of want to take a break from that. And now I've been getting back into it. And it's funny because I'm going back to games I haven't played in years. Like I played that Shadow of Mordor game when it originally came out back when I had my Xbox One, or I still have my Xbox One. Back in the day. And then Red Dead Online, it's been around for almost 7 years now, and so I've been playing that on and off on my Xbox. I have 2 copies of that. I have it on Xbox and I have it on PlayStation, and I've had this character that I'm currently playing with on PlayStation. And I think what I've enjoyed so much about it versus just like, because I've never been like a huge, like, I used to play shooters a lot when I was younger, but as I've gotten older, my reflexes aren't the same. So all
my friends played GoldenEye and I never got the draw because I sucked at it. I was so bad at it. Yeah.
Like if I were to play a modern Call of Duty, I would get a couple kills, but I would not be that good. And so going to this, where it really is it's almost kind of like a cowboy MMO RPG. It's not an MMO, but it is just an open world online game, and most of the time you're just playing. You're just doing missions. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure I may have talked about it on the show before, but I just the fun of it was just playing, because Luke and I were playing it this past weekend. We're probably going to play it again with the holiday. The fun of it is really just finding your own fun and creating your own fun, because Rockstar just doesn't support Red Dead Online anymore until recently, which is crazy. And I'll touch on that in a second, and then we can move on. But it really is fun to just role play as a cowboy in the Old West and just do really crazy shit. And it got to a point where did you watch those TikToks I sent you? We, as a joke, and people do this a lot with GTA Online, like there's role-playing servers, there's Red Dead Online like people will like full on, you got to talk like your character and act like your character. Kind of cringe, not my thing. But like, it's easy to make cinematic moments out of this game because of just the way that Rockstar made the game. So him and I started to make a fake like Jackass style show. We called it Donkey. And it was us. It's just been clips of us doing absurd shit, like us chasing a guy and just hitting a fucking tree stump and flipping off our horse, and we're like, ah! Like there's so many. There's one clip.
I did not watch them.
Of us, and because it's a shared world, like you could just be hanging out somewhere, unless you're in like your camp or in like or inside a shop. If you're just out in the street, you can just get fucking shot by a random player. And there can be issues with that, and there's like systems in the game to get rid of people like that, and they call them griefers. But
griefers?
It's called griefing. That's the term, where you're someone that's intentionally like waiting for other players and killing them without them initiating. Like you're just spawn camping, killing these other players and taking their shit, and they're not trying to fight you. You're just being a dick. And there's penalties for that and whatever. But one of the funniest things about that was when we were trying to take a picture together, because that's the thing you can do, take a selfie, And we were literally trying to get it set up, and I was just waving, and the joke was going to be like, I'm just waving at him. We're like, hi. And this other guy, like, I keep waving, and then we get it, and they're like, okay, you got the shot? And Luke goes, yeah. And then this other guy just fucking shoots me in the head and kills me. And then kills Luke. And we just start laughing because, like, that's the kind of chaos that's great about it. And you just continue to... And, like, look, I think there's a lot of criticisms to have about Red Dead Online. I am someone that really likes it, so my criticisms about it have come from a lot of people that like it. Of Rockstar has never really supported it. They've done, like, things here and there, but all their money is in GTA. And it always will be. And I think...
What's GTA?
Grand Theft Auto.
Oh.
Like, GTA 6 is going to be huge, and however they're going to do online with that. Recently, sometimes I feel like you manifest things. I think Luke and I manifested this because we just got back into playing Red Dead Online. And then out of nowhere, with no, like... any pomp and circumstance, they just kind of like shadow released it. Like they just kind of dropped it and then released a trailer and be like, oh yeah, it's out right now. They released a new update. So there's like new missions, but it's like called Strange Tales of the West. So you're fighting like old timey like robots, like Tin Man looking robots and like different monsters and shit. So yeah, Red Dead Online, it's fun for me. It's out. You don't have to buy Red Dead 2 if you want to play it. You can just buy it separately. So that's kind of cool. But, yeah, I'll probably get the posse together. I'm trying, and this is final thing, I'm trying to be a moonshiner. And let me tell you, running a small business in the Old West is tough. Because I haven't even gotten to the proper...
The overhead alone is murder.
Well, right now, I don't even have enough money to buy my dang shack. I'm hunting animals for pelts, trying to make my money.
When I lived in Ohio, I had a moonshine guy, which was awesome.
I don't think I've ever had like
every couple months,
moonshine.
he would just come by and bring us some mason jar.
That shit will fuck you up, man.
I know.
Take you to another plane of existence. Oh,
you don't have to tell me, brother.
We're in the Bayou, our posse, but I don't know if I should call them the Bayou Boys with a Z or the Gator Guys with a Z, because we're cool. All right, let's talk about some of the main topics. Let's kind of talk about a little bit. So, I have watched all 6 episodes of Ironheart. Tyler has not.
I watched one episode, and then I've been
dick.
busy
No,
trying to figure out life.
So they released 6 episodes. They released 3 episodes June 24th. They released the last 3 July 1st. So, yeah, I binged it over 2 days.
I have all day off tomorrow. What the fuck? Leave me alone. Anyway,
I binged it over 2 days. I have some thoughts.
Uh-huh.
If you have, I'm just kind of talk.
Well, that one dude, the dude who plays the Hood was in
Transformers.
Yeah,
he's also in Hamilton.
Huh?
He's also in Hamilton.
Hamilton. I haven't seen that.
But yeah, he's also in Transformers. He's been in a bunch of stuff lately.
Yeah, I like the girl who plays Riri. I watched the first episode and I didn't have time to watch any others, so I knew I was just had time to watch that one. And then every time I've kind of sat down to watch more, I end up watching something else. It's not that I don't want to. It's just.
What did you think of the first episode?
The first thing
just say it, man.
I'm just not like it's not a show that I watch that I've watched the first episode and been like, I've got to watch the second episode. I've got to see. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all. I do want to watch the rest of it because I know it connects to other things and I like the character, but also I don't know if it just doesn't resonate with me, and that's okay.
Yeah, I think the people.
It's good.
I think the people that have legitimate criticisms, and aren't the usual fucking chuddy losers. I think that I can understand personally, I have my own thoughts on it after seeing all 6 episodes. I think, for me, probably some of the criticisms there are. why are we doing this now? Where does this? Because it's always back to where does this really fit in and everything because of what happens later. I'm gonna say it because you know it. It's not a spoiler. It's been revealed that Mephisto is in it at the end of the season, at the end of the show.
So I mean,
so their whole thing is blending.
They're going to have a Young Avengers at some point,
right? But and this is what's so frustrating about.
Am I too loud? Whatever.
What's frustrating about
was too loud.
the show for me is I think a lot of the criticism. There could be things that are levied at it that I think it's very similar to the Falcon and Winter Soldier, where this could have just been a Disney Plus like
movie
special special presentation, whatever. Mm-hmm. It didn't need to be 6 episodes,
especially if you're releasing 3 and then 3. You know, you could have made it like a 2-part.
It's like fucking Kenobi. Kenobi could have been cut into a 2.5-hour movie, and somebody on YouTube did it, and it was actually pretty good. And very similar. I think this could have been cut to a 2-hour movie, 2.5-hour movie, and it would have been fine. And I don't think the show is bad in any like. I enjoyed it. However, I think it's a show that you could skip, which I don't mean it to be in an offensive way. I just think it's like when you look at the bigger picture of things. If you're not interested in this, if you're not interested in Riri or what this is, and it's just not hitting with you, I feel like you could stop watching it and you'd be fine. It's not going to impact Fantastic Four. It's not going to impact maybe in some way it'll have an impact in Doomsday.
I hate
or
to say
Secret
it, yeah,
Wars, but I don't think so.
I hate
think
to
this
say
is,
it because I liked it a lot, but Agatha was like that. You can
very much, yes, very much.
It's a great
like
show. And again, I have no issues with the show itself. It doesn't really resonate with me. I do want to watch it, mainly because I want to understand the character better because I haven't read many comics with her in it.
Yeah.
I know that what I'm getting is the MCU version of that character, of course. But yeah, I intend to watch it. It's just, again, I don't think it resonated much with me. I don't know that I'm such a big fan of the street level stuff. Like, I know Spider-Man's next movie is supposed to be more street level.
Punisher's
more
going to be in it, so
right, yeah. I think I'm more of a fan of the cosmic shit, maybe, and that's why I liked Agatha so much because it was more cosmic. Yeah, I don't know, magic.
Yeah, and that's I think that is some people. I think initially people think, why is Mephisto involved in this in any way, and why is this there? And I'm like, okay, and then I go, time out. I got a point to make. I want to break this down very simply. Your YouTube criticisms are fucking boring.
Oh.
It's the same fucking stupid ass bullshit that you apply to female characters, but you don't apply equally to men. And I was wrong. I'll be honest. I was one of those guys. When Force Awakens came out, I was like, this is bullshit. How can Rey fucking force grab a lightsaber in the first fucking time she gets in touch with the Force when it took Luke this much to do it in the other movies? She's a Mary Sue. And then I watched it again from a different perspective of who fucking cares? It's made up. It's made up. You had the same stupid bullshit when Prey came out. Well, how could this fucking 90-pound girl, beat the Predator? I don't know. Watch the fucking movie and figure it out. She outsmarts it just like every other character in every fucking Predator movie because they're always outmatched against a fucking Predator. It's the same thing with her character in this fucking show. People are bitching and moaning because they think that she just magically makes shit too quickly for... Like, wow, she could just make this in one day. She can make this suit of armor. You accepted Tony Stark building the Iron Suit in a cave with scraps. It's a fucking meme. Go fuck yourself. Stop. I'm so sick of this nitpicky bullshit. Have fucking fun, for fuck's sake. The world sucks ass. Why don't you sit down and enjoy yourself? I'm sorry to go on this rant. I don't even like this show that much. I'm just so sick of this base level bullshit that gets applied to female characters especially. Like, we have to have them jump to even higher hoops more than you would for a male character, and you just accept that because it's a dude. Dudes are great. I'm so sick of it, dude. I'm so sick of it. And they always complain about her character in the show. And they say she's a jerk and she's not a hero. I'm like, watch the first Iron Man. Watch the second Iron Man. Watch the third Iron Man. Tony's a dick in every movie. That's his whole point. That's his whole arc.
Yeah.
Riri is not Tony.
by the
importantly-
end of his life / arc, he becomes a good dude.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go. Like, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
what the fuck, man? You fucking dick.
No, I'm sorry to go
I've
on
already
such
turned
a
it off.
soapbox about it, but it's just like I feel like so much conversation that could be had about this show.
It's okay, buddy.
You can't ignore that because there is that level. I swear, with any time there is a female lead in anything,
Yeah, oh yeah.
they have to have a female character come that much more odds. And I'm like, just because she's a woman, I'm like, can we? That's what I mean. Like, where all this argument falls flat on its face because you're like, just make strong characters out politics and everything else. And it's like, no, because when they do, it's still not enough.
I hate to say this, but it's kind of been proven by our country that, you know, the pieces of shit in this country will accept a black man before they ever accept a woman. I mean,
They'll accept a rapist before they accept a woman.
They took Trump over Hillary and they took Trump over Kamala. So, I mean, there you go. What do you want? Well, I don't know what you want from me.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm so sick of it,
Most
man.
of the people in this country are fucking stupid and racist and bigoted and fucking idiots.
And it's back to what I said too. It's usually and it's also
Everybody thinks they're going to be the next internet billionaire.
it's not the usual ilk
No.
that's driving me crazy about that because they're just going to be who they usually
Well, more
are.
and
They're
more-
going to be racist pieces of
Whether
shit anyway.
whether you know it or not, and this is what I fear more than anything, is that more and more shitheads, more and more people are giving up and moving to the other side.
I
hate to say
time
it.
out. That's not what I'm saying. Like I want to make a point of that too. Like that's what I mean. Those usual ilk, they're gonna do their thing. They're gonna say racist bullshit and whatever. For me, it's people that are genuinely like honest critics that I think even they will put that level of or a barrier on a character. It'd be like, you know, well, it took Luke this many movies to do it. Why did it take Ray there? And I'm like, again, this shit is made up. You know why she did it? Because the writer decided that. It's what Stanley always says. Who won the fight? The writer did. Because the writer chose it. It doesn't matter.
Wow.
And it continues to be the same shit like everything else. It gets these fucking losers come in and infiltrate comics and movies and all this fun shit, and now I gotta spend fucking 10 minutes addressing this stupid shit to overall say that it was an inoffensive show. It was an okay show. But I get so frustrated because I'm like, everybody, I'm just so I'm pleading for people to stop nitpicking things and just have fun. Because it's a fun show. It's an enjoyable show. Mm-hmm. You can skip it if you want. If you're not really into Riri and her thing, and you're like, it's maybe too young for you. Like it's very much a millennial Gen Z style show. I can understand that, and I think there are fair criticisms of the show. I just think, again, because YouTube and every other thing run by corporations is a shit hole. So the hate gets to the top, and that's what sucks. So let's talk about some books.
Books. Wait, you have your thing ready?
Oh, real quick, wanted to mention. I lost his name. The dude,
Well,
the dude who plays. You remembered his name. The dude who plays Solo.
Alden Ehrenreich.
He is great in this. I love him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like him.
He
was in Oppenheimer.
Riri's great. Honestly, the cast is pretty solid.
Yeah. Yeah, the guy who plays the Hood is good. The whole character.
Oh yeah, he's great.
So
he's really, really good.
Slug is actually a character.
It's like a big, bulbous character.
And I read somewhere about the transgender character playing Slug, and then there's another transgender actor, and people are freaking out over it. Like, everybody calm the fuck down. But I like the idea. Obviously, like any of those characters from back then that they used as like, oh, they're just really fat and that's their like superpower, like the Blob,
off. Yeah,
or, shit like that,
yeah.
And whatnot. I'm okay with, because a slug can just be something, like a vile person, right? And anybody with acting chops, whether they be transgender or not, can play a vile character, and definitely the person.
I don't think they were trans. I think they were just in drag.
Maybe
they were just drag.
Okay, but they definitely played their role very well.
Yeah.
I think it's a they. I would guess.
What else was it? One more quick thing, and we can move on.
But they embodied like the idea of the character,
say,
which I thought was
I
cool.
will say,
Yeah. You will. Whoa.
it does feel, and I think I like the way that it was released. I think people wanted to spin a narrative that they released it the way they did because it's a failure. They're just like, we just gotta get it out. It sucks, so we just gotta drop it. Or I think they were testing the waters with Andor with a 3-episode drop.
Mm-hmm.
They see that people like that, and they're like, well, let's just get all this out because
I don't mind
and
it.
you know what else, Tyler? They don't want to draw any attention away from what they're trying to do with Fantastic Four. So they're like, let's just get it out now. Get it out. Figure this out because this was shot and done way before any of this other shit.
Yeah.
So,
well, by the way, I saw like boxes of cereal with like collect them all and like Fantastic Four, and I was like, ooh, a toy? No.
I also want to
special messages on each box. Go fuck yourself.
I also want to
Disney.
say, Sacha Baron Cohen. I see the vision of what they're trying to do with him as Mephisto, and I like it.
Stop spoiling for me. Let's move on.
He's in it. You know this.
Yeah, I know.
But
you don't gotta get all into
I'm
it.
not going to get on the actual details.
Oh yeah.
But I will say, the ending is an interesting choice.
Oh yeah, I don't want
Shut
you.
up. Saying the ending is an interesting.
Don't tell me what it is.
Shut the fuck up.
Point is, much like Thunderbolts, I thought the ending was interesting and not usually what you'd expect from an
All
MCU
right,
thing.
I'll watch the goddamn show. Fuck.
Then just let me spoil it at this
No,
point. You're not gonna
fuck
fucking watch
no,
it, you
why?
bitch.
Why would I want you to spoil it, you fuck?
All right, real quick before we get to the books,
Yeah.
it's time to go running and walking with Stephen King.
Ooh. Playing that.
I could write a book
Oh
about
no, that's in
what
the
you
comic
don't
book.
know.
Damn it.
Technically a book.
They're both books. So. All right,
Oh yeah,
so-
where's the fucking Plane Zero, motherfucker? We have like
Oh right, what are we doing?
we
then?
have fucking Running Man shit.
Are you ready for pain?
Let's talk about. We'll leave that, and then we'll leave that for the next one. Okay, let's talk about the Running Man, which I have always wanted to do. I have a very specific vision of how I would do the Running Man closer to the book. I haven't. The ending itself is. I won't spoil it, but the ending is bad ass as fuck. And I have a very specific. Like I know what song would play when and blah blah blah. Anyway, point is. Somebody had the good idea, like me, to go, hey, that book is really fucking good and would work excellently in today's society. So he decided Edgar Wright was that guy. And I'm not sure why, but they did 2 movies, and we'll get to the next one. But Stephen King wrote as Richard Bachman, and they were 2 of my favorite. The Bachman books is a big fat fucking book with a black cover, and there's just writing. There's no pictures, just words all over it. You know, like Bachman books, Stephen King, whatever. And I loved The Running Man growing up. And when I read The Running Man itself, I was like, holy shit, this is like way better. Like, The Running Man movie starring Arnold Schwarzenegger takes nothing away from the original book. In fact, it creates it in such a it utilizes Arnold's burgeoning fame to make a way ahead of its time commentary
funny as shit.
commentary on where we were headed as a society at the time.
It's a very funny movie.
It's very ahead of its time with its ideas and everything.
Yeah.
Also, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fucking great. Like you can't. That's what I want. Like when they remade fucking Total Recall.
Oh, terrible.
I don't care to watch that movie because
RoboCop. Fuck you.
I've read the book.
Yeah.
And the book is not nearly as fun as the Schwarzenegger, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of how you want it. Like I think the Schwarzenegger Running Man movie can very easily exist in the same world as a movie that is hews closer to the book. And this movie looks like it's going to hew closer to the book. And in the book, it's a guy who lives in a shit tenement and he has nowhere else to go. And what people do is they go to the games. They go to the games building, and there's tons and tons and tons and tons of televised games. And the biggest one is The Running Man. That's the biggest prize, okay?
Because you have to run across the country. You have to stay alive for 30
The
days.
stakes are the highest, the risk is the highest, so on and so forth. A lot of the games you lose limbs, you lose sight, you lose, mobility. You know what I mean? Like you lose. Like they're not safe. But the Running Man, I think, if I'm not mistaken, somebody can call in and tell me 515 go fuck yourself.
Boop, next caller. Boop. Yeah, you're a real piece of shit, Tyler.
Yeah, well, fucking, you're right. You win a cheese, wheel of cheese.
So
play the.
I was
about to finish. Play some.
What? Play what? Anyway,
the point is it looks the movie looks really, really, really good, and I'm really excited for it.
Blown away by.
But I think in the book, the Running Man is the only game that you can die playing. Now,
I imagine this is just going to focus on the Running Man itself. I don't think there's going to be.
They don't really.
I think they're mostly going to focus on just that.
If they do in the book, they touch on the other games, but only if it's like in the background of somewhere he's like in.
Yeah.
From time to time, while they depict it as like basically like thousands of dudes showing up on the first floor, and by like the third floor, there's like 100 dudes. You know what I mean? Like for various reasons, each floor is a.
Yeah,
is a cutoff of some
kind of
point.
like the precursor to like Squid Games and stuff. Like
yeah, very much. In fact,
you see it with a lot of inspiration.
I've never
probably
seen
came from
Squid
that.
Games,
but it's a game show.
I know of it.
But look, I'm not saying Stephen King was the only one to.
No, they don't kill them off. They just like disqualify them
Yeah.
from games for various reasons.
Can I talk about it now?
Yes,
Fuck.
I fucking guess so. I love you, Jake. You're my favorite.
Here is Sub-Zero. Now, Plane Zero.
Plane Zero is my expectation for this trailer. Is all I wanted to try and do for like 5 minutes, but you wouldn't let me. So I'm just messing. I'm just messing with you.
Such a dick. You're a dick. I thought you were my friend.
So I've not read the book. I probably will now.
It's worth it, definitely.
But I first of all, I was surprised. I was shocked. I'm like, oh, we're gonna do this. I was not expecting a remake, and then. Yeah, watching the trailer, I'm like, oh, okay, we're doing something. This is because I had never read the book, but I don't even know if I knew anything other than the Schwarzenegger movie. But
the idea is the same.
Yeah, and it was enough for me to be like, okay, so this is getting bigger. And even in that trailer, I'm like, okay, that's a cool concept because I didn't know it was like the whole country.
The idea of like the society that they're in is largely similar. So to me, like you can't. I don't want anybody to remake Arnold Schwarzenegger's Running Man.
I think that's wise of them to do that because how can
you should,
and that's
because it's a
that's what I'm saying.
product of its time.
That's why I don't give a fuck about Point Break remake. I don't give a fuck about the RoboCop remake.
No.
I don't care about the Total Recall because you're right. They are beautiful, pristine moments in action movie cinema, and that's where they belong.
And you know what? RoboCop newer one. RoboCop 2 and 3 did as much as possible to ruin
it. Yeah.
And you fucking ain't. And by the way, the newer RoboCop is not bad.
It would have been better if it was something else.
Right.
Why did they have to put because it's the like
we have new effects.
It's what I told you. It's the snake eating its own tail of well, yeah, we want something original, but yet we won't go to the fucking theater to see it. We're part of the problem, and then it just becomes this never-ending cycle of bullshit. So that being said, I do want to see this in theaters because you and I will probably go see this together because this looks fucking rad.
Yeah.
I love Edgar Wright. I don't think
when is it again?
November 7th. He hasn't made a movie I haven't liked, Edgar Wright, so I'm all in. And it looks just so chaotic. I love that he still likes to do his continuous one-shots, all like as his signature. Like when he's running down the fucking hallway when they're shooting at him in the hallway was awesome.
Yeah. And
then he slid down into this thing and he's like, I'm still alive. Yeah. And the fact that like, because they kind of did it in the Arnold movie of him like talking to the camera, but that's only when he would kill the bounty hunters. Whereas, like you were telling me in the book, they're doing the same concept of it. He has to send a video to prove he's alive.
They give him a video
package or whatever.
Yeah, they give him like a video recorder and then like a thing of clips, and he has to like I think twice a day, I believe. And if like 12 hours goes by without them receiving a clip, then he forfeits, something like that. I'm sure that they've gone away with that because now you can just post shit to the internet immediately. However,
I'm sure. Yeah, and this is.
I'm sure that there's obviously I can post shit to the internet, but if people were looking for me, they can find me that way. So you know what I mean. So I'm sure they're gonna get around it
Some
somehow.
sort of like burner phone that he has to find.
I have no idea
to send it or whatever.
But
who cares? I'm excited.
Yeah, it looks good. It looks good. Michael Cera is he looks like a character that in my version of
William H. Macy's in it too. Did you see that? There's a shot of him in there.
In my version of the book, or in my version of the movie, I was envisioning Jack Black, but that was way long ago. For the
like
for
comic relief kind of character.
His character he's a guy that helps him out, that helps Richards out, but he like lives with his mom and like it's a whole thing.
The fucking end of the trailer with the water gun trap was so funny. I'm like, God, all right, I'm in. Like you put the idea of like, okay, we're gonna go balls to the wall with this, and we're gonna just like commit to this concept, and then have Edgar Wright on board and Glenn Powell, who's really good. I like him.
Here's the other thing.
I'm in.
Here's the other thing. Like I'm not gonna watch this movie and be like, well, this didn't happen in the book, or this happened in the book, or this happened differently in the book. Like I'm not. Here's the only thing I care about is that they hewed closer to the idea of the book, which is a guy's on the run. It's the top game in the country.
Everybody wants a piece of him.
Yes. Well, no, it's
because it gives you money.
Everything is shit in the country, so all people have is the games.
Yeah.
So it's a commentary on our society, and that is what I like about it. That they are trying to hew closer to the spirit of the book. I am not gonna care if they this, that, or the other thing with the minutiae. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, look, if you've already started on the right path, and it looks like from the trailer that you're going down the path that I think you should with a closer adaptation anyway. But, there's also another one, which we won't talk too much about. But there's another.
The Long Walk.
You're supposed to play the other.
Well, I'm going to save it for the rest of it. All right. Well, I don't want it to be overkill.
What?
That works for me.
So, The Long Walk is another Bachman one about... Bachman. I
thought you said Baccock.
Bachman?
Baccock books. Bachman books.
Oh, are you done?
No.
Finish it! Finish
I already fucking did.
So this one is a very similar thing. And it's, again, the year of our Lord, 2025, and we get 2 Stephen King adaptations. Both Bachman books. So yeah, this one is a very similar thing. It's a dystopian future, but they have to walk.
Is that Michael Gandolfini? The main character?
I don't think so.
Oh.
Well, I'm not going to explain it because they explain the whole plot in the trailer. But essentially, yeah, it's all these 100 kids that they have to keep walking until there's
it's an annual tradition.
Left. Only one left, and if you stop, you die.
It's like the 16th. It's like the 16th or 17th one that they've done.
Yeah, and the whole, like you were saying, like by the end of the whole thing is you would go crazy because first of all you'd have enormous survivor's guilt. Like, how am I the only one? How did I survive that? How was I the one?
Well, first,
and why was I the one that did? You know what I mean?
First things first. Think about it like this: you start walking, and you can't stop. You got to piss and shit. You do it while you're walking.
Just crouch and shit.
No, that's stopping. You just have to.
Well, I mean,
walk.
like crab walk.
Sure. But you got to keep walking.
Crab walking shit.
You got to keep walking.
Wait. If you can keep momentum going forward, could you theoretically take your pants off real fast while you're walking and then just crab walk shit like you're a whole... Or...
See, that's what you got to figure out. And here's the...
But like, listen, you know what I mean? Like a squat? But
listen.
Hold on. But you shit like a
Every
horse.
One
like
of
a
the,
horse. That's what I wanted to say. That was my whole thing.
Every one of these kids in the book shows up with these different ideas of how they're going to win this game, how they're going to win the long walk. Some kids, like one kid's got 2 pounds of like raw beef. Like, you got to keep protein if you want to keep, because people aren't thinking about how much I'm going to eat. Like, how long does this go?
Burning calories.
There's no average for how long these go, because sometimes they go like 4 days.
Yeah.
Sometimes they go 4 days before there's one left. Sometimes they've gone like 36 days. Ugh. You know what I'm saying?
Horrifying.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So every one of these kids shows up and they have different ideas, and every one of them starts. And immediately every one of these kids goes, oh, fuck, I had no idea what I was getting into, and I am woefully unprepared.
The first kid gets shot, and they're like,
well,
holy shit.
some kids are wearing like shoes that are not made for walking.
Yeah.
So within like the first couple miles, they're walking in bare feet.
Dragging their broken foot. Like,
I'm just saying, man. You get what I'm saying? Like, it is a horrifying.
It's a genius concept.
Yes,
genius concept.
Yes, the book, it's fucked up.
That's one thing I think you can always say about Stephen King is he always has a like really, really.
I'll
really
loan you my
solid,
Bachman books. It's really good.
Really, really solid concepts and crazy ideas.
There might be some pot smoke in that Bachman books of mine from like 1997.
I was still shocked. Like I was just watching the trailer. Like I've known of the Long Walk and the Running Man vaguely, like the Bachman stuff. But I was sitting there watching that trailer with you, and I was like rubbing my leg. Like I was that trailer was anxiety inducing, and it's like that is genius. Like that is some next level. Because it's the thing that gets me is what I think. You always say to me, what draws me to horror? Mm-hmm. Why do I like reading horror books? And I always kind of struggle with it to try to explain it because it is kind of hard to explain because I think for me it's normal to be like, I like reading crazy horrific things, but it doesn't like keep me up at night and things like that. But things like that do. That concept does, of the idea of walking that long, because when I'm reading a book about something like supernatural with like a human bug hybrid thing that
also
that's different than I'm desperate and I need money and I'm walking along this road and if I stop I'll die.
You can't sleep.
Yeah.
If it goes for 36 days, if it goes for 4 days,
as much as your body is trying to shut you down,
oh
you
God,
can't
yes,
let it
yes,
because you got to keep going.
There's guys that get blown away because they just
their body gave up.
They don't have a choice.
Their body's like, I need
they
rest.
pass out dead
because it's not natural.
Yeah, they don't offer. I think they give them food and water like once a day, but it's like a very small amount of water and like maybe like a energy bar or something. All
right. Well, I'm excited. I probably won't see that. I definitely want to see Running Man in theaters for sure. So I'll give.
Or are we taking? We need to take.
I need to take a potty. I gotta pee.
We do. We need to take a little break because when I come over,
I've been drinking my Diet
we
Dew.
hang out while we're doing the show, but we also like to hang out around the show. Around the show.
Well, I really do have to pee.
The Bird Show. The Bird Show.
Throwing back my Diet Dew.
The Amazing Bird Show. The Bird Show.
All right, Tyler, it's time for some comics.
I could write a book about what you don't know.
Absolute Wonder Woman number 9.
You know, this is take 2. No, yeah, Absolute Wonder Woman number 9. You and I have consistently said during this whole run,
I believe
of the Absolute books, it's probably our favorite.
It's my favorite because it's been consistently good.
Yeah.
The 2 issues that they had alternate
Superman
artist
took a little bit to get going.
Mm-hmm.
Batman has had some hits and misses.
Batman kind of just like ignited and then was like, it had a couple of trips ups.
But then, God, Snyder's so good.
Mm-hmm.
But Kelly Thompson is
Superman
great.
has really turned into something
But
special.
Kelly Thompson and Wonder Woman, you're right.
Oh,
consistently
great. The art, the writing. Anyway, but so Wonder Woman finds Dr. Poison at the end of last issue, and Dr. Poison is like, "Hey, I know where there's an Amazon, and she's using the tetracide." So she Wonder Woman is being Wonder Woman, and just like, "Hey, I don't want to, but I will
and
totally
she said, you
kill
better
you."
Be serious. She's like,
"Come on, don't bullshit me."
So she's like, "Show me how to get rid of these things." She makes a spell, and she's like, tell me where the Amazons are. It's in a maze, and she does a spell where like all of the creatures start going to hell. She's like, what have you done? Where are they going? To hell. Don't do this again, Dr. Poison. I'll be watching.
Yeah.
And then so she goes, and obviously her friends are all like, "Hey, you're walking into a trap," and she's like, "Yeah."
I know.
But I kind of have to. There's a whole bit. You should read the issue, but there's a whole bit about the Manticore, but because she's got some creature's head on her wall, and so they're like, "Why would you do that? You know, you love creatures." Da da da. So there's a whole thing that you got to read there, but she does a she does a spell, and they're like, hey, don't do this, and she's like, I got to. So she does a spell and walks into the maze. What is it again? Oh, and it flashes back real quick, and Mama, or she's talking to Cersei, and she's like, hey, the pretty lady you told me to watch out for, it's late at night, she's sleeping, but Diana's like, you told me to come get you. She had antlers and a bloody face, and all that Cersei can do is like, go wash up and get all the weapons you can reasonably carry. And she's just like, it's much too soon. And then we come back to the regular present day. She's in the maze.
Oh, I love how she gets in there because she's like, you can't go in this way. You can't get in to the facility. It's a government facility, and she's like, it's underneath this government facility. And she's like, you guys know you should know by now I make my own doors, and literally just portals through a wall. Yeah. And I'm like, all right, that's awesome. Dude, her armor in this is fucking dope.
Well, it showed up in another.
Yeah, no, I love her helmet. Yeah, her helmet's dope.
So she sees this giant, like, what are they called?
A minotaur.
Minotaur, and he's like beating up all these fish dudes, and so she jumps into the fray to help the fish dudes.
She thinks the minotaur is the one causing the problems.
As soon as she wraps the
lasso and nemesis,
she's like, okay, don't worry about it. What can I help you? And she helps beat the fuck out of the fishmen, and they're like, They're holding the who is it?
It's a mermaid,
the siren. They're holding a siren.
It's a siren.
So she's like, I'll help you and stuff, and they go start walking through the maze, and it's just really, really neat because they finally find. It's just neat how she turns into a friend of like the Minotaur. It's kind of a twist.
Well, I love the twist on the lasso. The fact that. How they introduced it in the first arc.
It's called
the lasso and nemesis.
Yeah, nemesis. Yeah.
And it doesn't tell the truth. It tells your intentions. Yeah. So it can tell if you're good or evil.
It's got all sorts of powers. But
so that's how she sides with him. It's because she says in the thing, it's like I can sense your intentions or something like that.
Yeah, she says like this will either bring him to his knees or prove his innocence.
Yeah,
and they look at each other real quick, and she's like, "Apologies, friend. I don't know what this is, but you have my axe."
And she has the fucking badass armor. And shit.
So they beat him up on the fishman, and they run away. And they're both walking with the siren in his arms, and they turn a corner, and they're talking about Clea because she thinks that's the Amazon she's talking about, and they turn the corner, and it's Queen Clea. But then you've always had a disrespectful tongue Ferdinand, which is the name of the Minotaur, which is
a funny
great.
name. Yeah,
Ferdinand the Bull.
Yeah.
After I've grown weary of your screams, we'll cut it out so I never have to think of you again. And you see Diana, and she says, that is no Amazon. And then there's this really cool fucking promo for Absolute Batman number 10.
Yeah. Bane. He's Bane. He's so big with the muscles.
Consistently, at some point
the
in
cover's
every
great too, by the way.
Oh yeah, at some point in every issue, I have to stress this again. Something happens.
Yeah, the story moves forward.
Yes. The story moves forward. Yes, there are flashbacks, and yes, there are, whatevers, but I got to be really honest. Something happens. Absolute Green Lantern and Al Ewing. Sorry. We'll talk about that next week. What do we get next year? But yeah, absolutely consistent.
Absolutely wonderful.
The Absolute Wonder Woman series has been top notch, and my number one out of all of these 6 that we've been reading so far, no question, hands down. And I got to be honest, none of the 3 subsequent ones after those first 3 have really tripped my trigger much more than say the Martian Manhunter, and that one's taken for fucking ever to get going too. And also, which one are we doing now?
Absolute Flash number 4.
Do we have a guest artist?
I think so.
Yeah. Why? Sorry. I'm such a dick.
Just like Batman number 4.
I'm such a dick.
Just like Absolute Batman number 4. What the fuck?
Filler issue. It's not a filler issue, though.
It's not, but...
It moves the story.
Wally's eyes. He's got such beautiful eyelashes.
Right.
So yeah,
I'm surprised the chuds aren't out there going like, what is Wally transgender? Like, oh my God.
I'm sure. Let me try and pull up the title page here. So we want to talk about. I don't think this is necessarily a filler issue.
Yeah, but not much happens.
But yeah, it's real slow. It just kind of sets up like what happens next for Wally. So essentially, Wally's escaped the team that his dad is trying to get him to come back to the military
With
base.
With
Grod, and Grod was originally sent in to kind of like not seduce him, like
blow him.
Jesus.
Wow.
No, I meant like he
Get the monkey to fuck him
Grod
and
was
he'll
going
be
to
fine.
use his mind.
Jesus. Sorry.
Are you gonna fuck the monkey or not?
Why do we have a monkey on payroll?
Nobody
anyway?
thought to maybe use a human of his age. Not a fucking ape.
Why are we resorting to... Okay.
I meant to say, we use like some his mind control powers. I meant seduce him, but not in that way. But
Well, to bring him back. To
persuade, for fuck's sake. The word was
Yeah,
persuade.
Jesus. You
It's
want to come home.
A.L. So not Al, but like A.L. Kaplan is the artist. So I think it is a guest artist. So yeah, it's basically dealing with Wally on the run from the team that his dad sent, and he like finds a shelter for or like pretty much like orphans and kids that are on the street. It gives them a place to stay and sleep. And he kind of just sets up his relationships there, and
Yeah, the end is pretty neat.
yeah, the end's really cool. So we see Dr. Thawne show up as she talks to Wally's dad, and he's like trying to be like, "What the fuck was Barry working on? What's happening?" And she's like, "Well, let's talk about all this other shit that he's worked on, all these other projects." And Wally is still the best thing that's ever happened. And it's like we need to get in like where his dad is like, I want him to come home. The government's like, no, we want Wally because he's the most advanced thing we've ever created of all these weapons that we're trying to design. Isn't it Luth who said Lazarus Corp?
Yeah, Lazarus.
So there is a tie to
my
Superman in there.
My favorite is some of the names on the. So there's Project.
yeah.
There's Project Firestorm, Project Wizard, Project Heatwave, and then a Project XXXX. So it's like X'd out. And then he finds Grodd. And they seemingly find what looks like I'm assuming heat wave at the end. Hey.
Yeah.
And so
just a gloopy magma looking dude.
Yeah, so I don't know about that.
I would say it's an okay issue. Not a ton happened. It's setting up something else. It's setting up something bigger. But it is I understand the reason to slow it down a little bit because of how much action was really jammed into those first 3 issues.
Yeah.
So I don't mind it slowing down a little bit. It's just for a book about the Flash, I needed to move a little bit faster. That's all I'm saying.
Good one.
But
Yeah. Do you have anything like that?
No.
Well, fuck you.
Okay.
I could write a book about what you don't know.
What's next?
Our final single issue of the evening.
Yes.
Tyler, it is Peacemaker presents Vigilante Eagly, number 4 of 5.
Mm-hmm.
So, this story picks up where we left off, where Vigilante's story...
Before we continue, let me just say that is this comic necessary for anything? No.
But it's fun.
It's fun. But to be really honest, the funniest part about the first part of the Vigilante part is when the two crime lords end up fucking. Like, that's funny to me. That's what I remember. And then the fun part about the second one.
No, I just want to touch on the thing that I like the most about it was him investigating it, because in the last issue he tried to assault Withers and Scarparelli or whatever. And he lost. They threw him in their little dungeon thing, and he found a used condom. So he's driving with this used condom, trying to figure it out. He's like, it wasn't the controller. Why, robots don't need condoms. And he's like, I'm not a robot. But how he discovers it makes me laugh, and this is why I kind of just love how stupid.
Because it's ranch.
Yeah, he goes like, wait he takes the condom, still has it, and squishes it. It goes squit. The onomatopoeias and the drawing of sperm tadpoles just make me laugh so fucking much, and that is what I love about it. And then later, where Withers and Scarparelli
They're
are just
tied up and they're just like, fuck
he's
it.
starting to explain. She's like, I read your screen because we forget he's a burgeoning screenwriter in this story. This Mike, the Pauly D looking dude, Jersey Shore ripoff, and then it was hot. He's like, well, that's not really what I was going for, but And then they you see hearts, and they're like, so
They
they
just start fucking.
and then we also find out that Saber and Cannon were fucking, and Vigilante actually got something right, where he's like, they were fucking the whole time, trying to screw over Scarparelli and Withers, because they're going to the other crime lords and being like, you need to help us deal with fucking Vigilante, because he's insane. And then he literally is like, you know what? It's very progressive of you being gay hitmen, but I'm still gonna fucking kill you.
Yeah. And I've kind of
I just love it. It's stupid as shit.
the whole Peacemaker second story.
Kills the League of Assassins.
It's kind of doing its own thing, and it's funny if you read the dialogue. But it's really no reason.
It's so inconsequential.
Right. I mean,
The
look.
Vigilante story was always
I read
more appealing to me.
I read the story. I put it down, and then I really don't think much about it. So, is it really fun? Yeah. Is it cool? Yeah. Do you need to read it? No. Sorry, DC bean counters.
And finally,
I could write a book about what you don't know.
the main event,
Oh boy.
the big
now,
enchilada.
John Byrne and the Man of Steel. Now, back
Hey,
in
you give the artist.
I will give everybody in a second. Back in the 80s, one of the things that Marvel had all over DC was continuity. And Marvel was very serious about their continuity and what happened here and what happened there, and they referenced other things and see this issue, for whatever. And they were very serious about it. And DC was never very serious about it, mainly because at that point they already had 60 years of comic books stories to deal with as far as continuity. And in general, if you read comics, there was a bit of continuity, but it wasn't rigidly enforced, if you will, like they did with Marvel, which is fine. I have
To each their own.
I'm just saying, at some point in the late 70s, early 80s, the powers that be at DC were like, we have to figure this out, because right now it's so confusing for the average comic book reader to jump on, because every one of our issues is 479, or 283, we're not starting any new series. We're not, what do we do? So they did the Crisis of Infinite Earths. And the way that they often did away, if one writer said that Superman did this in a story, but another writer said, no, that's not true, what they would do is they'd retcon it as that was a Superman from Earth C.
Right,
Or Earth 4, right?
And Marvel does the same thing with 616
Sort of, but they're very strict about it, okay? So the multiple Earths was a way for DC to cop out of continuity. So if they were like, this is the story so far, and this is the Batman that we're talking about, this era, well, all that stuff that happened before happened on Earth Z or Earth whatever, Earth D. It didn't matter because nobody kept track. Nobody cared, right? So Crisis on Infinite Earths basically did away with that and brought everything to one DC universe, and they started a whole lot of new things. Wally West was the Flash instead of Barry Allen. Barry Allen stayed dead for a while.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman was still, Diana, but
Was this Kyle Rayner era for Green Lantern?
no, it was Hal Jordan. Yeah,
You sure?
Yeah.
Oh, anyway.
Hal Jordan.
This would have been Parallax Pal Jordan.
That was
Hal
way
Jordan.
later.
Anyway, so this is John
Actually,
Byrne.
I think Hal Jordan died fighting the Anti-Monitor in Crisis, so maybe it was John Stewart and Guy Gardner.
I feel like Kyle Rayner.
No, Hal Jordan was around. I don't know. Whatever.
Guy
Shut
Gardner.
up.
I don't know. Wow.
John Byrne was tasked with
Superman.
rebooting Superman for the 80s and for the new DC status quo after
This whole reset.
Crisis. Yeah. John Byrne, writer, penciler, Dick Giordano, inker, John Costanza, letter, Tom Zuko, colorist. Superman created by Jerry Siegel.
Yeah, Superman, the Man of Steel. So, this is my first John Byrne book. I know you've talked a lot about him with the She-Hulk stuff and how much you liked his work in the past. So this is the first time for me reading it. And my takeaways from it were overall, I think it's an enjoyable book. It's a quick read. Like, you could do it in an afternoon. I think that it is... if you understand what he's trying to do with it and really lean into that silver age, because I have the context that you're talking about. I have that backstory of it. Okay, this is post-crisis. This is resetting the status quo. So I understand that baggage of like, okay, wait, I understand what he's trying to do. Where it's, okay, let's go back to that Silver Age style and be what Superman really is. And it's over the top, cheesy, but a ton of heart. Yeah. And I will say, at its best times, this book has a lot of heart. And I'll give it credit for that. I think it's an enjoyable read, but and I think it's very much like we talked about with like The Running Man earlier in the show and certain movies where like they're perfectly a capsule of when they came out. Like, this is very much an early 80s comic book.
Yeah, well, it's 86.
Wordy as shit.
1986.
Or sorry, mid-80s comic book. It's wordy as shit.
Well, so...
But it still looks great, by the way.
So one of the things, well, that's one thing. Byrne's art has always captivated me. No matter what it is, it's always looked good to me. But one of the things that people criticized him for was that he consciously depowered Superman. Before this, Superman was pretty much capable of anything because no writer cared about continuity or if he had done that before anything. There was no power set to Superman. If they decided he wanted to type really fast, then he was a fast type. You know what I mean? Yeah. Does that make sense? But Byrne actually said, like, no, these are his powers. This is his limits. He was a lot less stronger than before. And honestly, Superman, when he first appeared, was a leaper. He didn't fly. He just leapt long distances. So for a while, when he first appeared, he didn't fly. So again, like, even though flying is what he does, the original Superman, if you will, didn't. So you got to think about, and he had 60 years of stuff to pull from, and like, this is what I'm going to say, this is what is possible, and all this other shit.
And I think it's interesting because you and I have kind of gone back and forth on like reading older books and doing stuff like that. Because I'll be honest, there are some books that I don't think age very well, and some books that just don't captivate me the way that they may have would have when I read them at the time. Because this book is a great example. These books are so fucking wordy, and I'm like, it's like, I understand they were working with, we only have so many panels, we only have so many things we could, and I get it. But at some point, I'm like, guys, you could, and that's the comparison. And I've said this a lot every time we talk about these old books, every time, and it shines through every time. It's great to see how far the medium has come and become more visual and using cinematic language versus this. There's a lot of cinematic language here, and there are some amazing shots of that make it like a comic book. But there's sometimes it's like he'll explain things or say things, and I'm like, I can't. Like, I know that. I just saw that happen. Why are you explaining that to me? Like, because there are times where I'm like, okay, but is this intentionally supposed to be for a younger audience sometimes? Because I feel like Byrne thinks I'm an idiot. I'm like, I just saw that happen. Why are you explaining it? You know what I mean? So, but that's just the book of the time. And he's paying homage to those original Superman comics. And so I get what he was trying to do. But at some point, I'm like, dude, just let it happen on the page.
So a couple of the things I want to touch on is one of the things that you wanted to touch on was his portrayal of Batman. Yeah. And then I want to do one, and then, we'll kind of go like that.
Yeah. again, we found it for like $5. You can find it super cheap, I'm sure. Somewhere.
There's so many different
editions,
printings of it.
Yeah,
and different editions. Yeah,
you could probably easily find it.
So first,
especially with Superman coming out, you should probably be
before we talk about Batman, I'm 11 in 1986. Okay, and the story where
gorgeous, like
the story where Lois Lane takes her dress off. And she has like Clark's coat on the entire time. Like that resonated with me. I was only 11, but I still was like, I don't know why, but I like the idea of Lois Lane being naked. You know, like
yeah.
I hadn't quite hit puberty,
but
I was
looked
like,
at it and I was like, geez, that's kind of horny. That's what I said when I was looking at it.
And John Byrne always draws babes, so isn't Lois Lane so fashionable?
So
in this too?
I love what he was trying to do with this, like having it collected like this and just seeing this first 6 issues.
Well, it was technically supposed to be a 6-issue miniseries
to like reintroduce him to
because they didn't. Now, I'd say 7 or 8 years after that, maybe 89, 90, they did start a new ongoing series called Man of Steel. But this was Man of Steel, and then they started a Superman comic book with number 1, which I believe was the next. So that would have been technically Man of Steel number 7, if you will. Was Superman number 1. If you get,
there's like a prologue.
Kind of. So that's like kind of set by itself, if you will. And then, but Byrne also did Action Comics, and there was 4 different Superman titles at the time, and then they added like a 5th. It was fucking ridiculous.
But I love what he was trying to do here because so like the little nitpick I had of him like over explaining things, I get what he's trying to do. I mean, he's even touching on Donner shit at the end of this edition because he's doing the Jor-El Space Dad shit. So it's like he's even doing a little bit of the Donner movie, and he's just trying to play the hits. And I appreciate what he's doing, and again, sticking to that style. And I think it's an enjoyable book. But the Batman part in particular is where you and I have talked about the Batman rule. When I was like, why the fuck is Batman in this edition? Other than to just be like, this is how we're different, I guess.
No, they wanted to,
and the timeline is crazy.
I'm not sure why Batman is included in here. I think it was his way of connecting the new Superman to the rest of the DC universe.
And I think it's the classic Batman Superman dynamic. And,
it is
and reestablishing.
It's a Brave and the Bold. Honestly, He was like, "Can I do a Brave and Bold issue?" And they were like, "Sure."
And every series has a random team up issue, but I just wanted to point it out because this is what's the kind of brilliance of it. Because as I'm reading it, I think it's silly and written crazy, but then I remember this is a Superman book, and this is Clark's perspective. So this is why Batman sounds like a fucking psychopath. He is, but this is why he really does. And I'm going to read some of this dialogue.
Absolutely.
It's absolutely insane. You're just like, hold it. Before you touch me, you better take a quick look with those vision powers I hear you have, specifically your infrared vision. So then he looks at infrared.
So specific.
Yeah, he's like, what? He finds out Batman's got a force field to stop him from attacking me, and then he goes, so he's like, well, what makes you think you can stop me? He's like, so I devised a plan as a way to stop you, Superman. If you penetrate the field surrounding my body, an electric signal will go out instantaneously. That signal will detonate a bomb hidden somewhere in Gotham City, and that explosion will kill an innocent person. And then Superman correctly goes, what? Because again,
are you fucking nuts?
First off, you're dressed as a bat. You got this electromagnetic force field that you made in case you knew that I was going to show up here and deal with you at some point.
What is Batman known for?
It's
Being
true
prepared.
None of this. I have no complaints. This is true to the character, but because this is the brilliance of Byrne here, because it's a Superman book from Superman's perspective, and pretty much anybody else, unless you're reading a Batman book, this guy's a fucking psychopath.
Well, no. Hang on a second.
Batman's crazy.
No, hang on
He's
a
always
second.
been.
If you read the issue, okay, you understand that Superman thinks that Batman is an outlaw and he's crazy and he's dangerous.
Yeah.
Batman knows that Superman is on his way to take him in to face justice, okay? So Batman's like, the only way that I can get him to not just immediately take off with me, because I'm just a dude and he's, he can fly and shit. The only way is to throw him off, is is to literally throw acid in his face. But like, what's the only way to do that to this guy? Well, you got to fucking throw him off with something crazy. And what do we learn by the end of the story?
I know. I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why you're defending it. I think it's funny.
What do you mean why I'm defending it?
I feel like you're upset about it.
Well, because it's a classic Batman story. It's a classic Superman-Batman dynamic. And what do we find out by the end of the story?
This is what I'm talking about with wordy. Like, what do
we find out by the end of the story?
Hold on a minute, Tyler. I gotta give you some of my fucking exposition. She's not a real criminal. Not like the kind of gutter slime I've dedicated myself to destroying. She's just a frail human psyche, an unbalanced id that got pushed too far. You saw the psychological profile in her record. A little girl who loved pretty things. A trifle too much. He likes to say fucking trifle. Saw that a lot in this book. A trifle too much, perhaps. Who was taunted and called magpie because of it. Who educated herself to become curator of one of the nation's leading museums and found herself having too much watch over pretty things she never possessed. Yeah, I feel sorry for her, Superman, but I feel more sorry for her victims.
Give it here.
Give it. I feel like I've offended you.
No.
No. I would be clear. If you are offended, I apologize.
I am not offended, but give it here so I can read the next part.
Oh, I wish we had an extra copy so you could be Superman.
Yeah.
This
That would be fun.
That
would be fun.
Here.
Give
Oh
it
my
here.
God.
What?
There's so much exposition.
Give it here. Here.
No, and I want to be clear. I think look, and that's the beauty of art. I think you interpreted it as the way, like, that's the beauty of having this perspective. So you said you were reading this when this came out, right?
Yeah. We read it monthly.
So you have that nostalgia for it and that being around when that came out. But for me, I see it as a cool representation of that time, but it's just so funny to me, like, how much of a crunch these writers had to be in to get this shit out. Because it clearly looks like he's like, okay, I got to have this Batman story in. I've got to explain this because I've already set up the Krypton stuff. I've checked that mark off. I've checked off the Daily Planet.
Well, no,
I've got to have him interact with Batman because that's his best friend.
Well,
I got to, you know what I mean?
So back, and they still do this today. Obviously, like,
no, yeah, and it's
the editors.
The
editors keep track of where the comic characters are at any given moment. So he talks about in different interviews how he had to have the Batman story in that first 6 if he wanted to have Batman at all for like the first year he was doing it.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, so he just whatever. But okay, so
I'm gonna get screenshots. I'm gonna get screenshots of that and do like an audio.
You get to do your thing. Not so fast, Batman. We still have the matter of an innocent life you placed in jeopardy. Oh, yes, my bomb. Here you go, Superman. I had it tucked inside my utility belt all the time. You mean it was your own life you were risking? Why? Because I knew my plan was the only way I could stop you, Superman. I also knew with your great powers, you'd probably be able to tell if I were lying. Thus, well, I still won't say I fully approve of your methods, Batman, and I'm going to be keeping an eye on you to make certain you don't blow it for the rest of us. But good luck. The same to you, Superman. A remarkable man, all things considered. Who knows? In a different reality, I might have called him friend. Dude,
can we talk about
you're 11 and you're just kind of figuring out that lady, like you really like girls. Dude, boom, right? Yeah. Boner, right there.
Yeah, so I talked about the Batman thing. You wanted to...
No, I already talked about how it made me into a man. Issue 4 made me a man. There's a part. It's really not. Oh my
God! Can we?
You talk about whatever you want because I don't really want to go through the whole thing.
Yeah, I just want to kind of hit the highlights.
Bizarro is interesting, right?
Yeah, I enjoyed the Bizarro storyline. I'm gonna be honest. He makes a great point. Like I read the foreword that Byrne puts in this, and he does make a great point about this. Because I don't know when this particular...
Don't they show how he shaves in that one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that neat?
I want to talk about that. Yeah.
That's the one thing I loved about Byrne's Superman is that he did shit like that. Anyway.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, the little shit where he's like... He kind of brings... And he talks about it where he brings that little nuance of like, okay, let's give a little bit more to this. Where he's like, okay, let's say that the Krypton was blowing up and erupting and that's how he got here. And then, yeah, like, oh, how does he shave? He literally reflects... a beam off the ship that he came in to shave it off because
with his heat ray.
Yeah, Because
He's
everybody
heat
asks like,
vision.
how would he really do that? Because a razor ain't gonna cut his hair. But he makes a great point about if back in the day it could just be a dragon, shows up and attacks the hero and whatever. But then nowadays you have to have that and I think
What's the dragon's motivation?
and I think
Where did the dragon come
and
from?
I think that's the
What's
thing.
the hero's origin story?
Of the kind of the genius of doing like maybe it would be beneficial to do retro reviews, because I think from my angle I'm gonna have a little bit more fun and maybe poke a little bit more fun at it, because it is true that this is written in a very traditional style of serialized book where it's like they were still going under that impression of it's everybody's first issue, so even though it says number 6 on the book, you could still pick it up and you'd be fine. You'd kind of
The purpose, of all of the Crisis was to get new readers,
Right.
Because Marvel was killing it from the 18 to 34-year-old set. Like they were just killing it in that market consistently month after month, and DC was like, "What the fuck? How do we compete?"
Well, it's like
Teen Titans was Dick Giordano was actually the writer of that, and that was the start many years before. I want to say like mid to late 70s was when that started. But that was the only DC book that consistently competed because they wrote and had stories a lot like the X-Men. They were flawed characters. And Superman and Batman, for the most part, were not flawed in those stories, mostly in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. It was Superman. Superman doesn't have, whatever. And so I had never, the Superman origin, if you will. It was kind of neat to see that, knowing that who Superman was from the entire time, from the moment I was born, almost, until then, and realizing, I can get on the ground floor of this, even though, I know about it anyway. And it was just really neat to see.
And this is
how because again, this was the first time that an Action Comics before this would be like a Superman story that was just had nothing to do with continuity, and you could forget about next month.
He mentions it in this book that they would be like 3 or 4 stories jammed that were like 7 pages each,
and none of them would ever be referenced again. So it was like
they were
throwaway
pulp
shit.
books. They were
This
just
was
pulp
the first
stories,
time that Superman, and I had read a lot of Action Comics before that and stuff. So this was the first time Superman had like a story in issue. And that was it. And this will be referenced next issue, and that will be referenced in issue 3. And then you know what I'm saying? Like, this was the first time that Superman comics read like that. So I ate it up because it was basically like the X-Men, or it was basically like Superman and all DC being filtered through that lens of reality, of realism.
I love.
I don't know why he gave Luthor hair, but apparently Luthor had hair when he was first introduced in the real comics.
Yeah, but I also love the fact, again, kind of playing into the Donner shit. I also love that as the more you see Lex throughout this trade, the more hair he loses.
Eventually he completely loses it.
And just shit like the panels, like when Byrne really likes to draw Superman breaking guns. I don't know why,
Yeah, he does.
but he just there's so many close-ups of him bending guns and snapping them. It's like, we get it, dude. He's
strong.
You talk about that TV show a lot in the forward. We get it. You watch the fucking Superman show. Yeah. No, but it's still great every time. It's still awesome. Like, it's great. The art's great. It still looks amazing for its age.
Yeah.
But it definitely looks like that of the time 80s David Gibbons 9 grid looking.
Yeah, there's not a lot of I don't even know.
But some of the art, like the close-ups, are great. Like, just I love how he does faces.
Byrne does almost everything well. There's not a lot of panels or whatever that I've read from time to time, but generally he has a style that is pretty utilitarian. He can pretty much use it to draw whatever, and there's really nothing that he doesn't. There's really nothing to me that he sucks at. Maybe like drawing kids. He did Fantastic Four for many years, and Franklin Richards
likes to draw women too.
Was a main character, because he was like a toddler, and he looked like a midget, the way he drew him, because he just doesn't know how to draw kids. He basically draws them like smaller adults. You know what I mean? Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's, if there's anything, and by now he's kind of figured it out, but to me that was the big thing about Byrne, is that he could never really draw kids realistically.
Yeah, overall, I agree that it was a good thing to kind of sometimes go back and look at these older books just to truly see, and see that the impact that he still had. Like you still see things that he touched on and used still today.
Yeah, you still have today.
And I know that Gunn is going more like with All-Star Superman and what Grant Morrison was trying to do. I think he's like that was his inspiration, what he was trying to lean into. I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't touch on some of the fun of this book, and especially with his interplay that's going to be with the Justice League in that movie.
And one thing that is still in effect, I believe, with Superman today that Byrne came up with was, I believe he also came up with unstable molecules in the Marvel Universe to explain why the Human Torch doesn't burn his clothes off every time. Have you heard about unstable molecules?
Isn't that what their suits are?
Reed Richards made suits out of unstable molecules, and it's a catch-all.
That's why he can stretch in it.
That's how every hero can have a costume and not get it burned off or torn off.
That's why they have a pristine one every issue.
Thank you. There you go. But what he did was one of the things that bugged him was how Superman's costume never really got torn and shit like that in the comics before that. So what he did was he came up with the aura, the personal aura. It's not magic or anything, but his power, his Kryptonian physiology, anything that is skin tight to him is also protected as well as his. It would be as protected just as well as his skin is protected. So that's how and that's still, I believe, in Superman comics today, that's how it's explained a way that his regular cloth suit doesn't rip. You'll notice that his cape still rips because it's not skin tight to him. And then they also talked about how every single Superman iteration has had to deal with, as times have gotten on, has had to deal with the whole, everybody knows that's fucking Superman with glasses, right? I liked how they talked about how if he stoops a little, uses these glasses, slicks his hair back, nobody will notice the difference. You know what I mean? They dealt with that, if you will, like, because he was like, well,
Lois is always going to figure it out. She's too smart of a reporter not to figure it out.
Which is dumb that she couldn't figure it out.
Yeah. Oh, another thing of its time is the talking head captions. They kind of sometimes they'll have just the caption there, but then sometimes it'll just be like their head.
Oh yeah, well, Byrne
he likes to do that. Yeah, I know they kind of play with that in Absolute Martian Manhunter number, that second issue, and I kind of again, I think when I like the book the most when it leans into its medium, and we've said it so many times on the show when the books understand that you can only tell this story as a comic book and do it and push it to its limits, like, and those are the books we love. Those are the books we talk about. It's
still one of my favorite comic series. He did Superman, the Superman book. He did that for God. He wrote it for a good 5-6 years
himself.
And he drew it for probably at least a couple years, 2 or 3 years. So that was the nice thing too, is that for it almost felt like every month you were going to be able to pick up a Superman book by John Byrne, and that was kind of nice because you knew the art and the writing was going to be good. Whatever you want to say about the kind of person he has made himself out to be these days, which is by all accounts a alt-right chud, a little bit. He is one of the greatest, most influential comic creators of our times. Whatever you think of his politics.
Bar none, period.
And same thing with Frank Miller. I hate to say it.
Yeah. We're just going to pretend Holy Terror doesn't exist.
Of course. Yeah. We just won't put it
that. Anything other than The Dark Knight Returns, because anything after that.
Actually, I believe Holy Terror was an Elseworlds book, and I don't think Miller had anything to do with it.
No. It was originally going to be Holy Terror Batman.
Oh. Wow.
But it was changed to Holy Terror because DC was like, we're not fucking touching that. So he's like, I think
there is a Batman Elseworlds where he is fighting against the Catholic Church, It's an alternate. It's an alternate
Yeah,
world.
this is like the middle. This is post 9/11.
Oh no, this is modern times.
Iraq, like fucking anti-Muslim shit. Is what that. I think he's apologized since or said something.
I believe it was Norm Brayfogle was the artist on that one.
Are you thinking of Batman the Curse or Batman the Cult? Might be the Cult. I don't know. Anyway, we'll be back next week. Next week's episode might be up on Friday as well because it worked out where we're going to probably see Superman.
Holy Terror, yeah.
On Friday, July 11th when it drops. So we're going to try and record in the afternoon and get that up. So yeah, Tyler, what are your expectations
of Superman?
Yeah, going into James Gunn. James Gunn's first DCU.
I fucking love that
movie.
The Justice Gang is what that team is called. That's hilarious to me.
Is it really?
Yeah. Maxwell Lord's funding it. This is stuff that is kind of common knowledge, so I'm not spoiling anything for you.
I thought it was Lex Luthor's team, but that's fine. That makes sense. Maxwell Lord makes sense.
James Gunn has yet to do me wrong. There are times in his movies and shows where I'm like, okay, the bit's over. I get it. You know? But that's kind of his style. He's taken some characters in the Marvel Universe and turned them in the MCU and kind of whatever with them that I wasn't super happy with, but also I'm not that big of a fanboy that I'm like, I don't like him, you know? Like, he still hasn't done me wrong.
Well,
I wish we would have seen more Planet Face on the Ego. I mean, if you're going to do Ego, let's see a Planet Face, motherfucker. I think we saw it like once at the very end, right?
Yeah.
Come on, man. Come on!
I saw him do he was doing an interview with IGN, and he makes a good point, and he says, he goes, I think it's funny, he's like, that people think I am the superhero guy, but he's like, I haven't really, Superman is my first superhero movie. He goes, if you think about it, it is, because he talks about the Rainn Wilson movie Super, where that is this dude who just puts on a suit and hits people with a monkey wrench. So it's not really a superhero. He talks about Guardians of the Galaxy, and he's like, they're space adventurers. They're not, superheroes. And the Suicide Squad are supervillains. And Peacemaker is a lunatic. He goes like, so this is technically my first superhero movie. So
Batman, before we go, Batman Holy Terror was the first book to bear the Elseworlds logo in 1991. Written by Alan Brenner and art by Norm Brayfogle. And it is a...
Yeah, but there was a Frank Miller book called Holy Terror Batman.
Maybe. Okay.
That DC said no because it was fucked up. And it turned into Holy Terror. Is what yeah. So I think it will be interesting to see him do something that's more traditional studio superhero, traditional score, and definitely a different tone than what we see to him. I have no doubt this movie's going to be violent. Like, he can make a PG-13 movie. He did it with those Guardian movies.
Who are you talking about?
Forget it. I've been riffing by myself for so long.
What?
Because you went down a rabbit hole for nothing.
No, you're right. Holy Terror was written... no, because I wanted to know, and I love you. Oh, baby, love John Byrne with Jake and Tyler.